This is the feedback that we got from our second draft for our short film, Outposter and magazine from the same audience and individuals that we got to give us feedback on our first draft and from our short film, poster and magazine review again. So this is the feedback that we got from our second draft on our short film. Our audience said that the volume in half of the first scene, where it's the office meeting scene with Jessica and a colleague, which is played by me, the audience said that they couldn't hear any of the sound, so the dialogue didn't make sense, the storyline then didn't make sense for them. They just said we needed to change it. And they also said the volume in scene 2, the phone call scene, they commented on it last time, saying it was quiet and the non-diegetic music was overshadowing Jessica's voice, but they still said it was still quiet, so they found it hard to hear what Jessica was saying on the phone, therefore making the storyline hard to understand. Then the main point again was that the narrative and the storyline was still quite hard to understand and grasp. So we really, as a group, needed to think about how we could try and get our storyline, make it easy for our audience to understand, and also make it, easier for us to tell the story of what we were trying to say. We've improved on this by cutting the first scene out with Jessica in the meeting telling a brief description about whose house she's in, who's a new boyfriend, who's her ex-boyfriend, why she's wearing what looks like an engagement ring. So we just cut that out completely because it didn't really make sense, and we tried to get the volume to work in the first half of it, but we tried all sorts of things, voiceovers, but we just decided in the end just to scrap it out. So instead we replaced it with a voiceover, a monologue by Jessica, and then we used a shot of her where we zoomed out on her face because it matched a scene in, I think it was a Clockwork Orange or Silence of the Lambs, I'm not quite sure, but one of those films includes the first scene where the main character, it zooms out on his face while he's singing a voice over or monologue. So we just decided to take the idea but make it our own with our own dialogue and our own script. So we just decided to do that, and when we got our audience to look over it again, they really loved it and they sort of grasped the storyline of it with her voiceover. We then, for the second scene, scene 2, we turned the volume up higher on it. We found an editing technique on Adobe, the name will come to me in a minute, Adobe, it wasn't Photoshop, but we found an editing technique where we could make the volume higher. And then we decided again to just turn the non-diegetic music just down a tiny bit, but it was still able to hear. We were still able to hear it in the short film, so we could hear both the music and the dialogue that Jessica was speaking. We also filmed and edited a scene where Jessica can be seen taking money out of a safe. This ties in with her phone call with her ex-boyfriend, where she's saying that she doesn't know the combination, which is about the safe, because that's where her new boyfriend stores all the money. So this scene was very, very vital in it, and it made a lot more sense when we rewatched it, and it just made our audience understand the plot better. So the initial feedback that we got from the same audience and individuals again, after all these changes for our final draft, was that they could hear the dialogue better, and it made it easy for them to understand the plot and make the plot more clearer. The voiceover, they said, made the storyline a lot clearer and easier to understand the plot. And they said the safe scene did the exact same thing, and altogether the voiceover, the volume on the dialogue of the phone call scene and the voiceover scene at the very beginning, all three of them together with our other scenes made it easy to understand for them to understand our plot. They also loved the different type of shots, the editing, especially the special effects with the text messagings. They just loved the costumes, the props, the makeups, the music that we chose, the setting. Overall, they just loved it after all these changes. So this was our feedback for our second draft, our final draft of our short film, from what our audience and peer group said. This is the feedback that we got from our audience and individuals about our final draft of our poster and our magazine review, and it's just a quick summary to sum up what they said and gave us feedback on, and basically the improvements we made from the second draft to our final draft, and then their comments on our final draft of both poster and magazine. So we got feedback from them on the poster. A lot of them said that the spatial wise of it, there was a lot of blank spaces, and they said that made it look unprofessional and not very realistic. So their main comments overall about our poster was to make sure the blanks were filled around Jessica. They also made comments about her colour of the dress, blending it into the background, and the same with her colour lipstick, because the red lipstick shows as well as a red dress, so they just said about trying to blend that into her lipstick, into her face more, and the dress into the background more. Other than that, there were no additional comments about the changes that we needed to make from our second draft. So therefore, for our final draft, the changes that we made were, on our poster you can see on our final draft that the text which says Jessica, it's landscape, and there's bits around it going down the side of the right hand side, that was the blanks that they were talking about. So instead of having it small with Jessica written across it, we decided to, I'm not quite sure of the technical term, but we decided to have the text portrait. So with the J, the E, the S, the S, the I, the C and the A all in a straight line, like portrait. We found this made more use of the space and the blanks, well, the blanks that our audience comment on, it filled that space up. We also blended in using Adobe Photoshop, we blended in the lipstick and the dress like our audience told us to, and then that made it look like, it gave it a professional look to it. So that was our final changes, and then we got our audience to feedback on from the final changes we made, and they all said that they loved it. All the blank spaces were filled with the text going down. It focused on Jessica, which we were aiming to do, so the poster was outlining Jessica, which is the self-titled film. So they just loved how the colour was it, because it's black and white all over, and they loved how the detail of the red dress stood out with the red lipstick. There were no additional comments that they wanted to change anything or gave us feedback on. It was all positive feedback for our poster. And then from our magazine review from the second draft, the feedback from our second draft was, again, the quality of one of the photos, our main photo on the page, it was still not good quality, so they just wanted us to get a better quality photo for it to give it a professional look to it. And then the only little comments they gave us was about making the text size a bit smaller, maybe writing a bit more, just expanding it to fit all onto the A4 size, A4 size page. I forgot which one it was. But other than that, it was just little bits that we could move about, move the text box up higher a bit. So there were no really additional comments there. So the changes that we made for our final draft was, we found a better quality photo of Jessica and Leanne, our actress, and what we did was, instead of having it as a original like rectangle photograph of her on the page, we decided to crop around her head. So the photo was the rectangle normal shape, and then her head came out of the photo. You can see on our final draft what I'm meaning by this, but it made it look like our own piece. It was a bit more creative, and it just gave it like a sort of look that no other magazine review article had done. So it kind of made our magazine review stand out. And then we just edited around with the text boxes, made sure they all looked professional where they were at, just made some of the titles bigger, the text smaller, wrote a bit more text on it, and I don't know, I've forgotten if there was anything else that we changed, but that's on the top of my head what I can remember. And then our audience feedback from it was that they loved it. They loved how we cut around Jessica's head on the photo to make it look like she was there on the page. Everyone really loved this. They loved the text size of the photo, text size, the actual context of our review. They liked the title of it, the star rating, the page numbers, just all the additional bits of a magazine review. So this has been our feedback on our second draft for our poster and magazine review, so what our audience fed back from the second draft, and then the improvements that we made from our second draft to our final draft, and then the audience feedback from our final draft. So all the audience feedback from our final draft overall were all positive. There was nothing that they wanted to change or see us make little changes to. Overall, it was all positive feedback, and especially looking at our first feedback that we got from our peer groups and our individuals, it's come a long way, and we've made all the changes that our audience have told us that they wanted to see. So overall, we think that our products have matched what our audience have fed back on, because in the end, our audience and the individuals are going to be the one who are going to watch our short film, look at our poster, look at our magazine review, and then they're going to decide whether they like our short film and how they rate it and how they give word of mouth over social media about it. And then the poster and the magazine review are going to help them decide whether they actually want to watch our short film. And we wanted all our products to have some sort of brand identity, which I think we managed to fulfill with the title name of Jessica with the red eye in it, and how that flows from one piece to the other as we include it in all our pieces, in all our products, I should say. So overall, I think we've managed as a group to work on all this audience feedback that we've been given, and the audience feedback has been so helpful to us because we want to know what our audience think about our the short film, the poster, the magazine review, because in the end they are our audience, they are our main audience. And I'll say the audience we got to give us feedback and the individuals were all 16 to 17 to 18 years old. We got some others, we got a couple of people who were over the age of 30 to look at it from their perspective. We got a couple of people from under the age of 16 to have a look at it and comment on it. So we've got different age groups to have a look at our products. I think this helped us as well because we got to see a range of different ages and different genders to look at our products, give us feedback. So it gave us a really good idea and good help on their feedback. So it really helped having different age groups look at it. But we took on board the most the feedback from 16, 17 and 18-year-olds, as this was our primary target audience that we were trying to aim our short film, poster and magazine at. And then our secondary audience, who were 12 to 15, we got a couple of people from that age group to look at it, but we didn't prioritise their feedback over the 16, 17 and 18-year-olds feedback, because the 12 to 15-year-olds were our secondary audience, whereas our 16 to 18-year-olds were our main target audience. So that's why we decided to look at their feedback more and focus more on their feedback. So this is for our question-free evaluation on the feedback that we've got and how we've improved from our second draft to our final draft.